Hello to all of our listeners and welcome to week 10 of Besties broadcast. This week we are still celebrating women in one shape or form, and this week we are celebrating UK Mother's Day. And we have a guest on with us today, and her name is Keiley Broadhead. I have known Keiley since maybe 2010 ish. We met when we worked together in the gambling industry. We were both law students at the time, and we just formed a really strong bond of friendship over wanting to be lawyers and stuff, aspiring lawyers. And we both I would say we made it. We're both lawyers, we're both moms. In fact, I'm godmother to her son Ralph, who's 8 this year, and she's godmother to Mackenzie, who is 2 this year. So it's a good friendship, I would say. And we thought that she was the best person to bring on to speak about UK Mother's Day because she is a really, really strong mom. She embodies motherhood. We're very happy to have her on. She's going to introduce herself shortly. But in the meantime, I want to hear from my co host, Renz. How are you, babes?
I am amazing.
Are you
I
amazing? How was your
made
week?
it. My week was pretty interesting, but I made it. I made it.
You made it.
All my children are still alive, so
Your
that's
children are
always a
still
plus.
alive. Okay, so you're a good mom as well. And I mean, okay, look, you're not celebrating Mother's Day yourself this Sunday, but you're invited to our parties.
Okay, I'll be there. Send the
You'll
send the
be there.
jet over.
When is Mother's Day for you? And why is it different? You guys are so
Mo-
extra. Go on.
Mother's Day is May 10th, and honestly, I have no idea, but I can ask the Google eventually and see.
We'll celebrate then. All right, that's fine. Well, me and Keely will celebrate for you in the meantime. Keely, do you mind introducing yourself to our listeners?
Hi everyone, I'm Keeley. I'm Malika's friend of over 15 years. I'm a solicitor and a proud mum to two amazing boys, Ralph, who's age 7, and Bowen, who's age 2. I have a lot of different interests in life, but I'd say some of my main passions are nail art, which might seem like a strange one for a lawyer to say, but I really do feel passionate about nail art and being able to treat yourself, because I think that's important as a mum to be able to have moments where you can just relax and zone out. And getting my nails done is definitely one of those for me. Being able to spend time with friends and family, eating good food and drinking good wine, the small pleasures in life.
Thank
Man.
you, thank you. And as you said about self care and looking after yourself, I just thought about the countless times that we've been to the spa. So that's always a good Mother's Day treat, or any time treat, really, because sometimes we don't even need an excuse to go to the spa. We just show up at the spa. So there's that. But in the guise of celebrating Mother's Day, UK Mother's Day, sorry, Ren, we want to jump straight in. And this is going to be like a bit of a deep session because the way I know Keely to be is very open book. She's one of those friends that, those friends that don't gatekeep. Friends like how we are with each other. If you know something that's going to help me, you're going to tell me all about it and vice versa. One thing I have always loved with my friendship with Keely is that nothing's off the cards. We will just talk about anything she can do to help me or even one of my friends. She's on it. So, that is one of the things that you will learn about her as we go on with this discussion. And one of the first things that we're going to speak about is IVF because she'll tell you herself, but she couldn't conceive naturally. And so that's why I feel like it's a good topic for us to speak about because she actually chose motherhood. Some people, they have children and it just kind of happened and, they wasn't expecting it, they didn't want it, they didn't cover up or whatever. And they've got these kids and they're just like, oh, whatever, fine, I'm a mom now. Whereas Whereas Keely's like, no, I wanted kids, so I went down that route. So I wanted to tell us a bit about that. So both sons have been born via IVF. Clearly, you made a choice to be a mom. Please, can you take us through that journey when you realized you could not have children naturally and chose this route?
So yeah, definitely motherhood was something I always wanted. Even when I was much younger, I had seen myself having children. And so when I got to the very tender age of 25, which now I look back, I was an absolute baby. But at the time, I thought I was a very big woman, and that by age 25, I had set myself some very unrealistic life goals. I thought that I would be qualified as a solicitor. I thought I would be a homeowner. I thought I would be married, and I thought I would have children. So the fact that I actually hadn't reached any of those milestones by age 25 meant that I spent my 25th birthday party crying. It's your party and you can cry if you want to. That's exactly what I did. I cried my eyes out on my 25th birthday party. And then I kind of sucked it up, put on my big girl pants, my 25-year-old pants, and said, right, you better get a grip because you don't want to be crying when you're 30. So I started putting things in action to reach those life goals that I set for myself that I hadn't been able to obtain yet. And one of them was having children. So at the time, at age 25, I was probably around 20 stone, which for some listeners who are not in the UK, like maybe not using that kind of weight system. So I don't know what it is in kilos. I'd
I
definitely
don't
say
know what it
that,
is in kilos, but I know what it is in
yeah, I don't know
pounds.
if it's in kilos or pounds.
Yeah, it's just under 300 pounds.
Okay, just under 300 pounds. So I was a big girl, but I was owning it. Um, And I actually personally didn't have a problem with my weight. I had a partner who I'm still with now, who loved me, loved my size. I loved my form, my figure. But when I was trying to conceive and it wasn't happening, it was the first thing that the doctor said to me. The reason you're not conceiving is because of your weight. And they put it all down to that. There was nothing else that they were willing to explore with me. And they said, you have to lose weight. It's the only way you're going to be able to have children. You have to lose weight. So I tried and I tried and I failed and I failed again. And I then made the decision that the only way, because this is also before the days of the GLP-1 medications, there was no such thing then as Monjaro or Ozempic. It was if you had a significant amount of weight to lose, your only real option when you wanted help from the kind of medical community was to explore weight loss surgery. So after 2 years of trying my absolute best, I had not lost anywhere near enough weight for the doctors to explore my infertility. So I decided to have weight loss surgery in 2016. I had something called a it's called a, a s- gastric sleeve.
Yes.
I think it's called is the one that I had. Because you could have the balloon, you could have the sleeve, or you could have the bypass. I went with the sleeve. It was like the middle option, and it was really successful for me. It was maybe one of the biggest decisions I'd made at that point in my life to have such extreme surgery and change my entire lifestyle. But it 100% achieved what it was supposed to. I think I lost something like 8 stone. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what that is in pounds. The amount of weight I lost, maybe over £100.
Yeah, you lost over 100 pounds.
100,
Yeah,
yeah.
I lost over £100. And I was the smallest I'd ever been. I was smaller than I'd ever been than I can remember being when I was a teenager. And we continued trying for a baby, and lo and behold, we still couldn't conceive. Turns out had absolutely nothing to do with how big I was. So they then investigated my infertility and determined it wasn't to do with my weight. They actually couldn't explain my infertility. And that's what I was diagnosed as, unexplained infertility. They didn't know why. there was no rhyme or reason for why I wasn't falling pregnant. So the only option then is to have IVF. And in the UK, we're very blessed to have the NHS and all of the benefits that comes with. But it's not a free-for-all, and there are parameters to what you can access. So even though I'd lost so much weight, I actually still hadn't lost enough weight to get IVF on the NHS. So then I had to lose more weight. So I went again on a weight loss journey, but this time with a lot of work at the gym, like unhealthy amounts really. But in the end, I got finally to the weight I needed to be to have IVF. And I was very, very fortunate that it was funded on the NHS, and I managed to fall pregnant on my first go. And that has resulted in my firstborn son, Ralph, who's now 7.
For those who don't know, NHS is the National Health Service. I'm
Yeah, we
sorry, Ren, you
don't.
don't have that in the States. I'm very sorry. That's a topic for another day. But yes, so we had my godson
But I
Ralph. Go on.
in the States that IVF can be funded on some of the
So
insurance plans.
my insurance plan for my current company, yes, any women's needs is currently funded. So
Where on the NHS, there's very, very strict guidelines, and it is also a postcode lottery. So in some areas, you would get 3 attempts. In some areas, you'll get 1 attempt. It really does just depend where you live, and which is unfair. And it can also depend on other factors like whether you have any other children, whether your partner has other children. So you may be a woman who's never had a child, but because your partner has children from another relationship, you wouldn't be entitled to IVF in certain areas of the UK. But I was really, really lucky in the end to have had the support from the NHS that I did to firstly have weight loss surgery and then secondly conceive Ralph. So that was amazing. And after conceiving Ralph, I had 2 embryos left from that IVF cycle. So then you can choose to freeze them if you want to. And after you've had 1 live birth with the NHS, and this is kind of countrywide as far as I know, there's no more funding. If you want to have more children, it's up to you to fund that privately. So I had 2 embryos left from my IVF cycle, and we decided to freeze them and pay for them to be frozen until we reached a point in our lives when we wanted to try again. And then we knew we would just fund that privately in order to do it. So I enjoyed being a mum of 1 for 5 years. I sucked every single moment of it in, as well as working as well, full time, which is a struggle. There's so many of us who are trying to spin about a million plates at once, juggling motherhood, full-time motherhood, and full-time working, full-time being a partner, full-time being a friend, full-time everything. But we manage, and I absolutely adored being a mum to Ralph. It was just incredible. And so I couldn't wait to do it again, but I did wait. I waited the 5 years because I almost didn't want anything else to cloud it. So I was really happy just being a mum of 1. But I knew I had my 2 in the freezer. That's what I always would refer to them as. I've got 2 in the freezer, and when the time was right and the finances were right as well, I knew that they were there and kind of ready and waiting for us. So we tried again with the second embryo, and again, very fortunately, I fell pregnant straight away with that embryo. But then, really unfortunately, I lost that baby. So I went for a scan and I was told that the baby had died, like in utero. So that was really, really difficult because it's so difficult to become pregnant. And then once you are pregnant, the kind of idea that you might lose them, it happens, and it happens to so many of us. You don't want to even think about it for a moment, but it did happen. And I suppose for me, it happened in a way that I didn't even know about. I'd never even heard of what I suffered from, which was called a miscarriage. So I didn't bleed. As far as my body was concerned and the way my body was behaving, I was still pregnant. And it was because the baby had died inside of me, and then my body didn't bleed the baby out. It kept hold of the embryo and then continued to kind of create the hormones and act as if I was pregnant. So I had to have a procedure to remove all of my lining from my womb, and that was really, really difficult. But in a very strange way, every cloud has a silver lining. My IVF clinic has said to me, this is the perfect time for you to try with the third embryo, because you've had this surgery that literally has kind of scraped everything out, which I know sounds really gruesome and horrible, and it was an awful surgery to have to go through. It also meant that my body created like new cells and created like this kind of fresh environment that was perfect to place the other embryo. It's why they say you're most fertile when you've just had a baby. Because the act of giving birth and kind of everything being expelled from your body, actually your body does something magical and creates all this space for new life. And that's what happened with me. Losing my second embryo created the kind of perfect space for my third embryo. And so I had to wait 1 month, and then the month after, I had my third embryo placed, and I fell pregnant again straight away with him. And he is Bowen, who's age 2. Bowen is our very rare bear. That's how I refer to him, because Bowen, one, he was our last shot at having another child, but two, Bowen was born with a chromosome deletion.
So, Keely, do you mind telling us a bit about Bowen's disability and how you cope as a mother, still working full time and taking care of him?
Yes, definitely. So I refer to Bowen as a very rare bear, and that is because Bowen is literally one of a kind. Now, I know all of our children are unique, but Bowen truly is unique. And the reason for that is because he has a chromosome deletion on the 10p of the chromosome arm. That's where his deletion is. And his deletion is the only one on record and the largest on record for the 10p deletion globally. So there may be other rare bears out there like him, that haven't been recorded on the system, maybe because of where they live in the world, that they don't have access to the same types of databases that we have here. But as far as we know, he is literally one of a kind. So he holds a very, very special place in everyone's hearts who meets him, because he's so special and so unique. You will literally never meet another person like Bowen because of his genetic makeup. His take on life is so incredible. He very, very rarely cries. He does cry now and again, he's 2, but very rarely. He is just always smiling, always laughing, and he just finds happiness in everything. And I think it's because he suffers from so many different disabilities and he has such high and complex needs that every day is a gift to him. And he embraces every moment in life, and he's just so joyous. But he is struggling every single day to do things that we all completely take for granted. So being able to sit, Bowen can't do that. He can't do it unaided, without support, without medical devices. Being able to swallow, Bowen can't do that without specialist support, without being tube fed. It really is the kind of things that you just don't even think about, like being able to open your eyes. My son can't do that. He can't open his eyes fully, so his eyes are only half open. I didn't even realize until I had Bowen that we're using a muscle in our eyes to open our eyelids, and that's because we just do it. Our bodies are made to be able to open their eyes, and Bowen isn't able to do that because his body can't do it. So he's having to see kind of the world through a visor because he can't open his eyes fully. So he's working so hard every day. So you would think that then that would maybe make him a bit miserable. But it's not. I always refer to Bowen as saying that he is just happy to be here. And I think because he's working to be here every single day, to be alive, and he's so happy.
Keely, do you think it's because he doesn't know any different? And it's just like, this is like, I'm sorry, it's so fascinating. It's just like he doesn't know any different, so he's just living life the best he can.
Do you know what? Bowen's just playing the hand that he got, and he's happy to play it. He just wants to be in the game, even if he's losing. He's happy that he's a part of the game.
I just wanted to just kind of bring this back because obviously, Key, you're my friend for a long time. So I've been on this whole journey with you, and we live down the road from each other, so I get to see Bo whenever I please. However, just for the sake of our listeners, Rent knows because she's always in my ear. I stayed at your house last weekend while you traveled to go to Amsterdam, have a little, time away. And only then did I see, because the whole point is we're celebrating you as a mom and how you work full time and how you care for him. Like it's just I had 2 nights with him and it was hard. I thoroughly enjoyed it because him and Mackenzie are, they're very close. They love each other's company. But the fact that I had to learn, like I've never even so much as touched hearing aids before I had to insert them into Bowen's ears. I had to, set up his milk for a feed and do the whole tube feeding. Like you do this every single day. You attend countless appointments for all his needs that he's got. It's just like I don't even know. Like, how do you? Oh, how'd you cope?
It's definitely true. Like, when kind of life throws you a curveball, you catch it and you go with it. And that's what Bowen was. He was definitely a curveball. And I think it became really apparent to me even when I was going through with you everything you would have to do to look after him, because I'd never left him for 2 nights before. And previous to that, when I've left him for one night, it was with professional carers who are specially trained in looking after children with complex needs. So the fact that you took the bull by the horns and said, you know what, I know you want to go away to celebrate your partner's 40th, I can do this. But even as I was going through it all with you, it did make me reflect and think, God, there is so much that you have to take on board and learn to just look after Bowen for 2 nights, let alone look after him full time, which is what I do. Um, I don't think that there's many people out there that would leave their child for 2 nights and have to medically train one of their best friends to look after their child, or to leave telephone numbers for children's wards, for nurses, for paediatricians, to say if anything happens, you need to call X, Y, and Z person to support you, or you would need to go to X, Y, or Z hospital, depending on what happens to him, because then if X happens, you need to go to this hospital. If Y happens, you need to go to that hospital. It's really daunting. And it was really daunting for me when I had to learn all of this in order to be his mum. But it's a challenge that you have to accept. There's no choice in the matter, because that's your baby, and we're naturally, our instinct is to look after your baby. So whether looking after your baby means changing their nappy, teaching them to speak, weaning them, for me, looking after my baby meant learning how to be a nurse. That's what I had to do. I had to become a nurse overnight in order to look after him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to take him home. I had to show to the hospital that I could look after this child, and to all of the other professionals that are involved in his life. He's under, I'd say, about 15 different doctors, because of the kind of complexities that he has. And even this week alone, I worked my full-time job as a commercial solicitor, and Bowen had 4 separate medical appointments this week as well. He had a procedure to check how his swallow is doing, because I'd mentioned earlier he doesn't have a safe swallow. So he had to have a procedure to see if that's improved. He had to have a speech and language appointment because he's deaf in both ears, and at the moment is nonverbal. So we do speech and language to try and help him learn to communicate. We had occupational therapy because Bowen is not mobile. So he needs to learn how to sit, how to stand, how to engage in everyday activities. And we also have physiotherapy. Again, that helps with kind of everything mobility. So that was just this week alone. And I'll repeat the same next week with different professionals. Oh, and he also had a teacher for the deaf this week as well, who is specifically looking at his hearing. So it's a lot, but you do what you do to look after your children. And we're all doing things to look after our children.
I just wanted to interject because you said about the teacher for the deaf and stuff, and every Thursday you go to do your British Sign Language course every Thursday evening. And how are you getting on with that?
I do. I'm doing really well. So I'm learning British Sign Language in order to communicate with Bowen, just in case he needs it. We don't know. I think a lot of things with Bowen is because he is one of a kind. We don't know, the doctors don't know, nobody knows what he can or can't do. So the way I look at things is that let's just cover all bases. So we work on speech and language in the hope that maybe Bowen might be able to communicate using speech. But in case he can't, let's also learn British Sign Language in case he's able to sign. It may be that Bowen might not be able to do either of those things, and he won't be able to sign or speak. But I'm going to try both with him in the hope that maybe one of them works, or even maybe a combination of them will work, or even if he can't communicate back, it might be that he's able to understand me. So anything we can do to aid communication with Bowen is a winner as far as I'm concerned. So learning British Sign Language was an obvious step for me to take. And I had my first exam recently, and I'm very proud to say that I got full marks.
Brilliant.
And I'm really enjoying learning a new language, and I'm hoping to become more involved with the deaf community, and join a befriending service to help somebody who's deaf in our local community. And I feel like they're going to be able to help me with my BSL. I'm hopefully going to be able to help them with some of their communication needs. And I really hope then that in the future that, Bowen might be able to benefit from the same type of service.
Yeah, that would be really good. I just want to ask a final question actually. How has motherhood changed you as a person? And despite all of the adversities that you've had to overcome, do you enjoy being a mum?
I love being a mum. Yeah, definitely. I think having Ralph was kind of everything that I expected from motherhood. And that's why I relished it so much. I absolutely loved it. But Bowen has definitely put a new twist on things. He definitely wasn't what I was expecting. And I think you can say that from anyone who's had a second child. They're nothing like your first.
They are not.
I'm
um,
only not lonely kid, so I wouldn't know, but there you go.
I think whether Bowen had been born with the needs that he has or not, I'm definitely understanding more now why some people choose to have one child. Because my gosh, it is a minefield
Yes.
trying to navigate both of their needs, particularly for me because Bowen's needs are so high. And then trying to, balance your own needs, the needs of your partner, the needs of your friends, the needs of your work. It really is the most complicated juggling act I've ever done in my life. But as it stands, all the plates are still spinning. Some of them could do with a little push, a little oomph. Some of them are doing quite well. It really depends where I decide to focus my energies, and what I decide is a priority.
One of the things I will say about you as a person, and one of the things that you've taught me actually, is not procrastinating about things. Because think about it, we wake up early every morning. Most mornings we kind of do our life admin together, don't we? I've got my diary and you've got your things, and we're kind of texting each other, right? Put this in the diary, do this, do this. Have you emailed this one? Have you done this? And it's like we get to do our life admin, and you've always said to me, if you need to do something, do not procrastinate. If you think about it now, if you've got a minute, just do it now. And I think that's how you cope. I guess that's how you organize your life as a lawyer as well, because your job is quite hectic and busy. She's always organizing something, always got something to do, and she just gets it done. She has to make a phone call this person, book this, do this, and I'm like, and she's dealing with Bowen and Ralph and work and running a house. No procrastination. So I think that's a lesson we can learn from you, really.
Definitely is a huge piece of advice for me. It is, if you're going to do something, just do it now, because you don't know what the next hour, day, week is going to bring into your life. So if you need to do something or you want to do something, do it. And hopefully that will include things for yourself as well. So if you want to go and get your nails done, go if you can. If you want to sit down and watch Bridgerton, do it. Take the opportunity to do it if you can. But if you need to call that pediatrician, if you need to speak to the school, if you need to review that contract, do it. Just try and get it in. Just fill that 24 hours that you have to the fullest that you can, and just keep pushing on, because every single day is a gift. I think Bowen's definitely taught me that. Every single day is a gift. You just never know what's going to happen. And my life changed exponentially when I had him. In some ways for the better, in some ways for the worse. But he's definitely taught me that life truly is a gift. And I fit as many activities into every moment that I can, because life is beautiful at the end of the day. And I'm very grateful for the life that I have, the friends that I have, the family that I have, the support that I have. And I know that they're grateful for me in their life as well.
Yeah, 100%. You know what? For people that don't know much about IVF, for people that don't know much about that type of disability, it's been a heavy one. Yeah, I feel like we gained some knowledge today, Rens. Yeah, definitely.
Very educational.
Very, very educational. I just wanted to take the opportunity to wish all the UK mothers a very happy Mother's Day. And to you, Keely, thank you so much for coming on. You're a fantastic mom, and keep it up. You are appreciated, you are loved, you are celebrated. And any way that we can help you, even Rent from across the pond, I know she's going to be able to help you with something or the other. We'll go over to Kansas, won't we? We'll go to Kansas. Um, Oh, guys, thank you so much. Renz, what are we talking about next week?
We are talking about the D word.
The dreaded D word,
Um,
guys. We're going to talk about life after divorce. We're going to talk about it from two perspectives. We're going to talk about it from somebody who divorced and remarried, which is yours truly. And we're going to talk about it from Rena's perspective, where she is divorced and gets to have all the fun. Can't relate. Must be nice. So
all the fun.
she's going to tell us about the dating pool out there or whatever it is. So yeah, that's the plan for next week, guys. Thank you so much for listening. As always, please subscribe on YouTube at Besties a Broadcast. Please like our Instagram page at Besties a Broadcast, and we're everywhere. We're global. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.